Warpugs, what do you want me to say about 300? What can I possibly say about 300? 300 was a movie that defined my naval career. Because I opened up the hatch to go inside my ship and promptly got Sparta kicked in the chest the day after this came out. Everyone saw this movie. This was the man movie. This was just, there was no ifs, ands, or buts if you were about to watch this. Like, everybody saw this. It became a meme overnight. Like, the Sparta kick became a thing that just happened to you, okay? This is Sparta. This is where we fight. This is where they die. Warpugs is PointlessHub, and he's about to tell us about one of the best movies ever made. And if you say it's a terrible movie, I do not care. I seriously don't. I'm aware that there's about 7 billion historical problems with this entire thing. That's not the point. The point is, it is just spray on abs on green screen before it became, quite simply put, overused. And the slow-mo battle scene is one of the best scenes, period, before it got overused. And then everybody started overusing the crap out of both green screen and, like, everything. This was the movie that was the quintessential holy crap movie of that year. And there was so much that got overused from it. Warpugs, let's jump into it. It's time to learn about the Spartans.
It's 2007.
Yes.
You're browsing this newfangled site called YouTube, watching the dumbest videos in 240p. And among those videos of
Charlie
named Charlie, dramatic rodents, and anime AMVs synced to Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
There's always one line that you come across. Something that you just couldn't escape in late 2000s pop culture.
Right.
This
is Sparta.
300 is a fascinating film. Even though it wasn't the biggest movie of the year, you could not escape it.
No.
It's something that's been kind of forgotten to time, only left preserved in old YouTube videos made in Flash and Windows Movie Maker. It was a concoction of energy that couldn't help but be parodied.
Ugh.
300 is based on a comic by Frank Miller.
Yep.
You either know who he is, or you don't. He's been in the comic industry for decades. In 1997, he made a limited series called 300, based loosely on the ancient Battle of Thermopylae.
Loosely. Very loosely in every way.
The keyword here is loosely. Sorry if you came in expecting some comparison between 300 and the real battle, like a historical CinemaSins or something. This isn't that type of video. By this point, I'd assume most people understand this isn't accurate at all. If this is the first time you're hearing about this, then wow, I'm sorry, man. Read a book or something.
Yeah.
No, the Persians didn't fight with giant trollmen or
Nope.
bladed demons.
Nope.
Xerxes wasn't an 8-foot-tall demigod.
Nope.
The Immortals weren't evil goblins.
Nope.
They looked like this. And the Spartans wore armor, not just leather underwear.
Right.
300 is first and foremost a fantasy, as fantastical as Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. All of these were purposeful creative decisions by the movie or Miller himself.
And the funny thing about it is, the big thing is, you know, fight for freedom, all this other kind of stuff. The Spartans were the most notorious slavers, period. Some of the games they would play with their slave population was ridiculous. That's the reason they were so militarized. Is one of the main reasons they were so militarized was to combat their slave population. And if you don't believe that, have a look for yourself. The Spartan citizen to slave ratio was insane. And
if we want to understand the movie, we're gonna have to do the one thing that nobody ever does when talking about 300. Let's talk about the comic.
Let's go.
When Frank Miller was a wee lad, he watched a film called The 300 Spartans.
Here we stay. And here we stand. For how long? Until we win!
You could say he was a fan. He said in an interview that it changed the course of his creative life. I tried to get more information on what that meant, but any link to that interview is dead. So that sucks. I also caught COVID in between recordings, so I sound like this now. So that double sucks. Gonna have to just take Wikipedia at its word.
Okay.
After watching the 300 Spartans and coughing my brain out, I could see how it would have some influence. It's kind of funny how tame the depiction of the Persians are compared to 300.
Yeah.
Like night and day. The 300 Spartans is a pretty solid movie, but just like a lot of films at the time, it's more sanitized than Mr. Clean.
Hey, this is a really good war. They say Xerxes has brought 100 nations with him.
The Spartans get along with everyone.
Right.
Like the loyal vanguard of united Greece. So in 300, the Spartans were now rough and brutal. They killed babies. The aspect of their almost psychotic devotion to militarism is on full display.
Yeah.
They're still noble, but not in that clean-cut 1960s way. They look like they've seen 1,000 battles. Their superiority complex is cranked up to 11. The only thing Miller didn't include was the Spartans' rampant use of slavery, which by his admittance he knew happened, he just didn't want people to completely hate them.
You could really, like, by modern standards, the Spartans were absolutely horrible people. They were an absolutely horrible, horrible group of people. Just... ugh.
Personally, I think he should have went all the way. Release the slavery cut, Miller. The actual comic is so short though, I don't know where he'd fit it in. The politics of this world really don't matter. It's just minor set dressing. The story is just a band of soldiers marching to a place, fighting for a little bit, and then dying. The end.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. George Miller's angular style really elevates the story in a way that the movie just can't. They're like angular, muscular cavemen. These faces are brutish and tired. It isn't until they put on the helmet and line up in formation where any semblance of Spartan glory actually appears. The comic's just full of striking silhouettes. Like, for instance, Xerxes.
Okay.
Why does he look like that? Well, in the comic, the main aspect of his design are those chains. He isn't even really drawn a lot. He's more like a negative space illuminated by gold. No, it's not accurate.
No.
It is surreal. And
Yes.
That's what I'd describe the comic as. One that's attempting to be a stark difference from the clean movie that inspired Miller in the first place. And
Yeah, when he was talking about the Immortals, they used wicker shields. They didn't dual wield katanas.
while I do like what the movie does,
Oh, it's
I can't
beautiful.
help but feel after reading the comic that some aspects were just lost in translation.
Massively.
So that's just the nature of live action. Which, oh, hey, I should probably talk about the movie now.
Oh.
300 the movie is always just compared to the actual historical battle itself. But, like, 300 is first and foremost an adaptation of a comic. A comic inspired by a 1960s movie, loosely inspired by at least a few centuries of interpretation on a battle with a lot of historical baggage. A long game of telephone adaptation.
Right.
This movie does have a lot of baggage attached to it. There are some controversial elements that can't be left unsaid. We have to talk about something this movie has perpetuated since it first came out in 2007.
Zack Snyder.
Yay.
Oh boy, Zack Snyder.
Hi,
He
Zack.
had done one movie before 300, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which was apparently written by James Gunn. I didn't know that. 300 was going to be the first film where his recognizable style could really blossom, an opportunity for his cocoon to crack, and a Zack Snyder butterfly to finally come out. What
Yay!
the fuck is this analogy? If I could describe Zack Snyder in a single word, I would describe him as pure. Look at that man. Not a single thought is going on in this. That's why we love him.
Yay!
That's right. This is a Zack Snyder friendly space. He is very much a visual person. Like 90% of his brain is made up of stylish cinematography, and the other 10% is color grading.
Yay!
Today, the name Zack Snyder cracks open the earth beneath internet nerds' feet, and I just find it hilarious. There's just something about
I hated 2012 with such an absolute passion. I hated 2012 with such an absolute
this
passion.
man that makes people lose their minds. Probably the decade or so of questionable films.
Why did you say that name?
I don't
Snyder's
know.
relationship with WB is an epic as fascinating as the Greek poems themselves. You could say it would eventually encompass the entire studio, maybe even Hollywood in general. I'm not gonna say a word about the DCEU, but I will say that everything going on with this can be traced back to this. A funny little man who just wanted to bring a funny little comic to life. Literally. If you watch the movie, you have basically read the comic. Shots, entire lines.
Ready your breakfast and eat hearty. For tonight, we dine in
Sabaros!
Most of the script ripped right out of the comic.
True.
Snyder loved it so darn much, he did everything to change it as little as possible. Like as little as possible.
And I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have a problem with that. One of the things that irritates me when we're looking at certain movies and things that come out is they don't look at the source material. They just flat out, they don't look at the source material. They just like, oh, well, this is popular. Let's write our own story about it. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Respect the source material. Respect the source material, because that's why I'm interested in it to begin with.
Panels from the comic were used as storyboard references, and shots were built directly from that. And honestly, who can blame him? The comic looked good, and Snyder knew that. And then he went on to do the same thing with Watchmen. Unlike that movie, 300 was really the perfect project for him to get his hands on. It was a simple story that lent itself to exaggeration, hyper-violence, and most importantly, style. Truly, the peak Snyder film.
Yes.
300 is officially called an American epic historical action film, but I think its true genre should just be called fuck yeah. That's really the main emotion this movie tries to evoke.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Hot damn. Oorah. This is the definition of a power fantasy. And that's all Zack Snyder thought while directing it. How do I make this look as cool as possible? And also, how do I make this as faithful to the comic as possible? There is an overuse of bloom and sepia tones.
Massive.
All meant to evoke the often bright backgrounds of the original panels. 300 is a world of computer-generated backgrounds, slow motion, more filters than a TikTok livestream, and a truly banger soundtrack. And in my humble opinion, I think it works. You know, in that caveman brain sense. Meat, cigar, Tim Allen grunt. Yeah, in a decade, this movie has not visibly aged great. It's very clearly all shot on green screens, and you could argue the entire visual language of this movie has been made fun of to death. But
it has been just disgusting. Like I was saying in the beginning, this was kind of like the gateway to so many things that are overused all to hell these days. All to hell.
To me, this has only enhanced the experience. No movie has ever looked like this again, nor would it ever dare to. The closest comparison I could possibly make is Spy Kids 3D.
No.
And I say that as a compliment. That's a compliment.
No.
300 at its core is an ancient horde game mode. This goes on for about 3 days until the Spartans are betrayed by Quasimodo and gunned down in the streets.
Pretty
there
much.
Are no character arcs in 300. Character arcs are for the weak, but there are characters, or as best as characters as there could be. There are faces, separate faces. So let's talk about those faces.
Let's go.
King Leo, the big cheese, the meme himself.
Yep.
Leonidas is the best part of this movie. And I didn't need to tell you that.
No.
In the greater pop culture sphere, Leonidas is really remembered for those bombastic moments. And those moments rock. Such raw anger and drive in each line.
Seriously, Gerard Butler was peak.
It sounds both incredibly badass and also unintentionally hilarious. And that's what 300 is all about. That's what we're fighting for.
Yeah!
As famous as this line was, nobody ever knew what the hell this giant hole was. Why did they have this here? Seems a little dangerous. It's a well. It's meant to be a well. In the histories, the Greeks really did kill their Persian diplomats, and the Spartans threw theirs down a well. In true 300 fashion, this is exaggerated as much as possible.
Right.
It's actually kind of funny how many of the most badass lines in this fantasy movie were said to have actually happened.
This is very, very true. This is actually true. There were several lines in the comic and in the film that were either Spartan statements that they would have, or recorded statements between the Persians and the Spartans themselves.
Lay down your weapons! Coming Get them!
Even inspired a certain flag that if you're Texan, you're probably familiar with. Or even this exchange.
Our arrows will blot out the sun.
Then we will fight in the shade.
That line actually came straight from the 60s movie.
Our arrows will blot out the sun, then we will fight in the shade.
But it was
Nice.
something Leonidas said to one of his own men, not a Persian. But while old Leo does a lot of the screaming for
Yeah.
the movie, he has another side too, which I entirely forgot about until rewatching it. He's usually just a smartass.
Yep.
Torturing all those men of yours has left a nasty crack in my leg, so...
Gerard Butler does a lot with a few facial expressions
Yep.
and head tilts, never breaking that Spartan emotional wall. I couldn't fit this in anywhere, but I was listening to the 300 commentary, and Zack Snyder kept referring to Gerard Butler as Jerry,
Jerry.
Jerry looks like he's in pretty good shape in that shot right there.
and I thought that was the funniest thing ever. All hail Jerry, king of the Spartans.
Yeah.
Spartans.
Who knew Michael Fassbender was in this? I don't remember that. He looks pretty hilarious.
He does.
You, sire! For Sparta! For freedom! To the death!
Despite there being
Everyone laughed at that line.
300 Spartans, they only focus on like 4. There's a father and son pair.
Yep.
Leonidas' second in command, literally just named Captain, who brings along his oldest son named Astinos, a name that is not Greek. The Greek historian who was working on the movie wondered where the hell Snyder got that name from, and Snyder said he named him after his Aston Martin.
That's stupid.
That's incredible. Poor
No,
Aston
that's just
Martin.
stupid.
And then
Yeah.
there's Dilios, the only surviving Spartan of the 300, sent by Leonidas to tell their story to the rest of Greece.
Dude's voice is awesome.
And Dilios, he sure does.
He's a
Even
G.
the parts where he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Dilios make up the fact that Leonidas' last thought was of his wife. Who's to say? He probably made up a bunch of things.
Yeah.
He's got an active imagination. If you really want to think about it, 300's kind of just from Dilios' imagination. I really want to know what the rest of the ancient world looks like from his perspective. What are the Gauls like in the 300 world? Are they giant, monstrous gingers? Are
Probably.
the Egyptians cat people? Maybe the Scythians of the Eurasian steppe are literal centaurs.
Maybe.
Call me WB. I have ideas.
Go
Now,
for
I
it.
haven't watched 300 in a while. So while watching this, I thought, man, Dilios' voice is really familiar. Where have I heard that before? And then it clicked.
From the time he could stand, he was baptized in the fire of combat. Long I pondered my king's cryptic talk of victory.
Combat Engine was created by Robert Daly, a former Green Beret and designer of more than 30 military-based video games.
He's
Wait,
the narrator of Deadliest Warrior.
You're kidding. No way.
Hell yeah, it's all connected, baby. Honestly, it makes sense. I would imagine that 300 and Deadliest Warrior had a pretty big overlap. Hell, I wouldn't be shocked if 300 inspired Deadliest Warrior.
Monuments, no poems of war and valor.
Designer of more than 30 military-based video games.
Speaking of historical inaccuracy, I feel like there's something else.
Yeah.
Something I've been putting off. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah, the Persians. The Persians were certainly something.
From every corner of the empire.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Persians were certainly something.
Yeah. No.
300 is one of those movies you either really love or really hate. And I mean, hey, I love it. Flaws and all. It certainly has a style, and when things work, they really work well. It's got some problems for sure, but don't look at that. Don't look at it. For
No.
me, I was too young to watch 300 in theaters. The only thing I knew of it for years was that Sparta meme, and any vague ideas that came from cultural osmosis.
Yep.
I think for a while I knew more about 300 from Meet the Spartan trailers than the actual movie. I was so disappointed when Mumble from Happy Feet didn't show up, or Baby Shrek, or a fucking Transformer. It was
That was a video that you saw on YouTube.
I actually the first rated R movie I'd ever seen. I watched it at a buddy of mine's house. It was one of the 4 things I still remember watching there. The other things were District
And Leanna Headey was just, yeah.
9, The Dark Knight, and that episode where Gus Fring dies in Breaking Bad. I had never seen Breaking Bad before. That was the first episode I had ever saw. He just put it on. So fuck you, Caleb.
Damn, Caleb, what the fuck?
Anyway, 300. You know, I thought it was good. Honestly, the main thing it really did was just make me super interested in the ancient world. There was a lot of Spartan resurgence after this movie came out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy. I had never even given the period much thought before then. I mean, for a kid, what else was there for ancient Greece? Hercules? And at the end of the day, that's what any historical fiction is good for, even the bad ones.
Oh, yeah.
Establishing a mood or energy that makes you just want to explore this time period even more. And then you do, and you realize, oh wow, Athens did some war crimes. And man, that first movie was some anti-Athens propaganda, I tell you what.
And of those philosophers and boy lovers.
Wow, the Spartans shouldn't be saying those lines. Particularly the second one.
I think a lot of people behind 300 realize how harshly the Athenians were treated.
Boy lovers.
And maybe even the Persians. Because 7 years later, we got a sequel.
Yep.
For glory's sake.
Oh my god. War Pugs, look, I will tell you this, and I will leave it. 300 was a movie. And just like any other movie that comes out, you get these people. You get these people who don't seem to understand. And this is a problem. This is a real problem. That don't seem to understand. Just because you make a movie that is loosely based off something doesn't mean you believe it. And then you say that, and you have people that believe the Spartans were actually like that. And that's why I get depressed about things, because it just annoys me to no end. The Spartans were, by any metric that we have in the modern day, one of the most brutal, savage societies that we have ever seen. Period. The only thing they did halfway okay, and I mean halfway okay, was women's rights. And only if you were a Spartan woman. Because if you were not a Spartan woman, have a nice day. War Pugs, I'm gonna head out from here. I hope you guys have a great day. All of Pointless Hub's links are gonna be in the description down below. This was awesome. Join me as a member of Patreon for early access. And I will catch you guys next time. And remember, kids, just remember, just because you saw it on a movie does not make it real. Does not make it real unless that movie was Waterloo. Okay? I will say that. That was one of the best movies ever. Period. Later, War Pugs.